just want to talk today a little bit about rest and resting in the Lord Himself and how He has called us to rest in Him and cease from our works and to just totally just abide in Him as He abides in us. And I'm going to come from the book of Hebrews 4, and I'm actually going to start in verse 9. And if you actually read it from the beginning of chapter 4 into here, it's talking about Joshua and Caleb in the Old Testament, how they were denied the option to rest in the Lord, and as He offered it to them before. But I'm just going to start in verse 9, as it's the conclusion that in this verse, where it starts in verse 9, it's the conclusion of where the Lord gives it again to us, for us to receive and to walk into this rest with Him in the faith of our rest in Him. So it says, so we conclude that there is still a full and complete rest waiting for believers to experience. As we enter into God's faith rest life, we cease from our own works, just as God celebrates His finished works and rests in them. Verse 11 says, so then we must give our all and be eager to experience His faith rest life, so that no one falls short by following the same pattern of doubt and unbelief. So rest in the Lord is very important. It says specifically to cease from our works. As Jesus ceased from His works on the seventh day and rested, the Lord has called us to the same type of rest in Him, but not just on a specific day, but a continual rest in Him, to cease from our works. And although there is a time of rest, that we should also rest from doing certain things in the Lord, so that we do not become exhausted, maybe per se. But if we live in a constant state of rest in Him, we should never actually, I don't believe we should never actually get to a point of actually needing to just rest and just take a break from things, because I don't feel like there is a moment to waste of preaching the gospel and spreading the good news and demonstrating God's power and glory. I don't feel like that we can become burnt out, as a lot of ministers do, and pastors and people in Christianity in general, even in believers. As we become burnt out, it's because we don't live our lives in this type of rest that is being talked about here by Paul, that we're not living in this constant faith rest in the Lord. And when it says resting, it doesn't, a lot of times when you may read this, you may think of actual resting like not doing anything, but that's actually not true of not doing anything, because that's actually probably one of the worst times where your mind begins to wander about things and maybe even possibly dip into worry. It's a thing of a constant rest in the Lord, abiding in Him as He abides in us, that He hides us under the shadow of His wing, that this is the place where we can enter into His rest. And so this place of rest is just a constant state of looking upon Him and beholding Him for who He is, and resting in His presence. His presence brings a peace and a rest upon our lives, and as we look unto Him continually, this is how we walk into this realm of rest in Him. It's not even a sense of not working. It's not a sense of not working per se, because you can't rest from your job, but when you begin to activate rest in your day-to-day walk, even at your job, you can begin to walk and rest in the Lord in this area, to look upon Him while you're working, to behold Him while you are doing the things of your day to day. If you do not have a certain time to actually just be still in the very moment of actually sitting with the Lord in complete stillness and just looking upon Him, if that particular part of your day has not came about yet, you can still live in His rest as you go throughout your day, of just simply worshiping Him and looking to Him while you're doing anything. If you work in an office and you are filing papers, it's as simple as why I'm filing papers, why I'm entering amounts into a computer of, Lord, I worship You. There is none like You, Lord. You are so holy. You are so worthy, Lord. There is none like You. And He comes. We have made resting in the Lord so complicated. We have made the Christian life so complicated. It's looking to the one that makes this life easy in Him. The Bible says to obey His commandments. It becomes easy when we obey out of love and not out of duty. So don't operate out of duty. It's not about operating out of duty. It's about operating out of love for Jesus. And as we operate out of love for Him, His commandments don't seem like a duty, like it's something I have to do. When you begin to capture the Father's heart as your own, and His thoughts as your own thoughts, as you rest in Him, everything that He asks us to become like is Him. So as we take on the person of Him, this is how we just easily become it. It's not a work. It's not a duty. It's not working. It's loving. It's all loving. It's not working. So just think about it like that. It's not working. It's loving. I don't work for the Lord. I love Him. So by loving Him, it's easy for me to express what He feels, what He thinks, to express His very person to everyone I come in contact with. These things become easy as I walk in rest and union with Him. And all these things flow together: union, rest, intimacy, communing with Him. All of these words all really gather into one thing, and it's all centered back to just looking to Him and finding your complete rest in Him and Him alone. And as we do this, it is easy for us to become like the Lord, because as we delight in Him, He delights in us. And as we draw closer to Him out of a place of hunger, oh, He is more than willing to feed us of Himself. It says in John chapter 6, it talks about how Jesus says, I am the bread of life. Anyone who comes to me every day shall be fed and never hunger again. And as He feeds us, He also gives us drink, so we never hunger nor thirst again, and that through this way we obtain eternal life through Him. So let our daily bread come from our rest in Him and looking to the one who is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the one that died for us. And the one who actually just wants us to become like Him. It's not becoming something that we have worked up to, thinking that we have to obtain things of not sinning and things and none of this world. As you look to Him, as you become like the Lord, as you commune with Him and partake of Him every day as your daily bread, the source of your food in the spiritual realm comes from Him. And as we make everything about the Lord Himself, this is how we become like Him. As we partake of Him, bits and pieces of Him, more and more of Him comes into our body and removes anything that's not like Him. Every single day as we feed upon Him, we are eating more and more of the Lord. So as we consume, look at it like this, okay? So I'm gonna break this down as in a natural to a spiritual food sense. So if this is how you take appearances of things. I think this is exactly how it transfers into the spirit realm as well. So in the natural realm, if you constantly consume foods that are bad for you, and high amounts of calories, high amounts of fat and carbs, and things that are not good for you, you will begin to gain weight and take on an appearance of someone that is gaining weight and can possibly become overweight from this. But if you watch what you eat and watch what you put into your body, this is how you become in good shape. You take on the form of somebody that's in good shape, that is not overweight, and you take a less chance of getting things like diabetes, high blood pressure, stuff like this. Stuff that comes from eating bad foods that can make your body, take on things that you shouldn't take on because your body's not meant to consume these kinds of foods all the time. So it's the same thing within the spiritual realm, okay? So if we constantly eat from the world and everything that it tries to offer us, we will become filled with diseases and the fatness of this world. And we will begin to make ourselves die quicker and quicker in the sense of the Spirit. And that our spirit man is not a temple that's pure and holy before the Lord, so He cannot accept it into His kingdom, because we have filled our life, our thoughts, our very spirit man has been filled with nothing but sin and perversion and unpureness and wickedness of this world. But when we only consume of the bread of the Lord Himself as our daily bread, not only sometimes but every day, this is how we become like Him. As we consume Him and only Him, you begin to see things that shouldn't be okay, because if the Lord wouldn't do it, we shouldn't do it either. And this applies to everything. What you feed through these eyes into your mind and into your heart is what you become. There will become a time as you walk with the Lord, as you make Him your everyday, that even things that you watch on television, the Lord will burden your heart for them, saying, the Lord will tell you, this is not of me. This is not okay. And even things as simple as TV and the music and the things that we put inside of our ears, in front of our eyes and in front of our screen, perverts our perception and draws us back into a world of sin. And this goes for anything. So anything outside of Jesus is not worth partaking of, because all it does is bring corruption into our life, into our being, into our spirit, and it hinders our walk with the one who it's all about. So you cannot partake of both. It's the same thing. I can also correlate this with it. It's the same thing. You cannot eat bad one day and then eat healthy the next day and expect to lose weight or to be in good shape. It does not work like that. It's the same way with the Lord Himself. We cannot partake of the world one day and then think one day, every so often, or every other day we can partake of the Lord, then be a part of the world another day, the next day. It's either Him or nothing. It's Him or nothing. Jesus says Himself, you cannot serve two masters. Two masters is one being the world or one being Him. You're either hot or cold. He does not like lukewarm. Lukewarm is feeding from both areas, both arenas. So feed from Him the bread of life. Every day. It says every day. The Lord Himself says, feed of me every day. I am the living bread and your drink. Eat of His word. If we're not eating of His word, we cannot grow in Him. And drink in the Spirit. Drinking of Him and eating of Him will in turn make you look like Him, which is all in essence of the rest in Him comes from partaking of Him. It makes our mind be able to access His presence and walk in His presence as we eat of Him and drink of Him, and become into a place of rest in Him continually. So don't cease from eating of Him. Don't cease to rest in Him. Cease from all works and anything that hinders your rest in Him and that hinders you eating of Him every day. It's not a time to play with this. This is not a time to not put everything you are in the Lord. He's calling for a bride, one that is holy, one that is pure, one that seeks His face. One that wants nothing but Him. He's looking for you. And as you begin to do this with Him, you will find that He is everything you need. And He will touch you. All it takes is one touch from Him to wreck you completely and make you fall so in love with Him you don't want anything else. And as you begin to continue to do this, there will be moments when He touches you again. And He wrecks you all over again. He is never ending. He changes every time He comes. He comes in different ways every time. He is so worthy and so holy. So do not cease yourself from seeking for more of His face. Understand that He wants to spend time with you more than you want to spend time with Him, no matter how bad you're hungry. He's crying out for someone to look to Him, saying, look at me. Look at me. I just want to love you. I just want to show you my plans and my destiny for your life. He just wants you to look at Him. We look at so many things. So many things that add nothing to our life but destruction, pain, bring turmoil and suffering. But we won't look to the one who poured it all out for us, who laid His life down on Calvary for us with a burning passion to just see His beloved come back to Him, so that He could live inside of us through the Holy Spirit. What a love He has for us. There is no one like Him. So I just pray that the Lord would touch you tonight. That if you need Him, and you need to find a place of rest in Him, that you would do it in this moment. That you would open your hands to Him and look to Him. And just say, Lord, all I want is you. And nothing else. There is nothing in this world, Lord, more important than you. Nothing I look to achieve but you. Nothing I look to accomplish but you and your will for my life. So I give you my all, Lord. I give you my everything. Just pray this to Him.